How you guys doing today, Toon Family? I am Webtoon King, and today we'll be going over Kagura Bachi. This is one of my favorite chapters so far. It feels short, but at the same time, it has a lot of information. This chapter we learn about one of the reasons the orphan kid was they're tracking her. And the second thing, we finally see the main character use the second sword he has, which is short. But I don't think we get to see the ability because I'll explain later down the line. We see the people that are after the main character. At first, we thought they were working for the weapons dealer, but the weapon dealer just put a bounty out. So that's very interesting. And a lot of people are going to start going after the main characters because even during this chapter, the two people that went after the main character mentioned that the weapons dealer is a very important person in the underworld, and a lot of people will come just because it's him. So, just because of that, after this situation, I can see a situation where there are people just after them throughout the story until he gets where he is and kill the weapons dealer. So I love how this chapter really escalated. We get to see the ability of two of the people that were after them. One looked like they're using dirt to make clones of themselves, and the other one looks like he can mess with your brain, your mind, to make you see your most traumatic or one of your traumatic experience. So this chapter is very full and is very interesting. So we start off chapter 6, titled Peace. We see the main character in the car grabbing his sword because you see a bunch of people, a bunch of clones, which at first I thought was different people, but it looked like due to later down the line we have an inkling that one of the guys that are after them can use dirt to make clones. And you see an interesting way they use it because he throws his clones into the car. And before I talk about this, we also have in the head of the main character thinking, just because they're in the car and the orphan person then step out of the car, that they don't know that an orphan is there, which is naive when we figure out that later down the line is a naive way thinking. But anyway, let's go back to the clone. He used it in a very interesting way where he's throwing his clones inside the car where the main character is, and because it's presumably made out of dirt, it's kind of like concrete going into your car and making it stuck, which is not concrete, but you get what I'm saying. Concrete coming in your car. But even with all that, you see the main character again outside of it with his sword and trust me. This is one we see I'm not giving names, so this is why I'm just using the title of people, weapons dealers, orphan kid, main character. And you see, I'm not giving names, so I'm going to have to work on that. I apologize. I will be working on that. But let's talk about what happens after the main character get out of the car. You just see a bunch of clones. Like, you can see the clothes, but it look like dirt, so it's cool. And you also see our informant looking at the bounty that the weapons dealer put on them. And you just see the orphan. Well, they didn't put the bounty on the main character. They put a bounty on the orphan kid. So that's very interesting. Going back to the main character and the orphan kid, now you see them running away from the guy that can use clones, which are made out of dirt, which we're assuming. And we see the main character uses attack black, and like I said, black to me is always a long range ability to throw at people. You see them slash the clones, and this is when you first see the main character in his own mind saying that they're made out of dirt. So this is when he's starting to figure out the abilities of the bad guys, and I like that he's thinking, and it's very interesting. And due to that, you see the guy that can use dirt as an ability to form humans that look like him, mentioned the blades, the enchanted blades. And he mentioned something very important to the fact that I'm going to repeat it and try to be as word for word as possible. He mentioned that the power they had can end hell on earth. So even though these people are bad guys, we can see the respect they had for, well, to me, quote unquote, respect they had for his father. That his weapons were able to end, quote unquote, hell. That's how bad the war is. I can't wait to see a flashback. Hopefully, do a flashback to the war, and that's very important. We even people who are against him, people who are quote unquote in charge of killing him, they still respect the fact that he had the ability to make swords that can end a war that's so bad that they call it hell. Now, the next thing we see is his clones trying to jump him, and then we see a new face of a guy, which I mentioned at the beginning, where he can control your mind. He's reaching for the main character head, and then you just see all these flashbacks from the beginning where the main character had fun with the dad to when the father was dying, and this is when we get to see his ability to make you have your traumatic events. This is a very interesting ability because you see how mentally it destroyed the main character. He's on the ground trying to catch his breath, which is a very interesting ability. I like it. It's outside the box. And it being outside the box, let's move on from that. Now we see the dirt guy has the orphan kid in his hands. The main character on the ground thinking about the fact that they capture her. And this is when the villain typical explanation of my ability comes through. The brain guy explains how his ability can mess with your brain psychologically and basically go on the spiel. I'm not going to repeat everything he said. Go on the spiel about his ability, how it works, and all that stuff. If you want to read more, go read it and understand his ability. But this is when we learn that the orphan kid is a member of a... I'm going to mess this up. Like I said, I'm not good with Japanese name. Forgive me. The orphan kid is the last surviving member of the Kanagis. And which is very important because their guy mentioned something that caught my interest. There's a rumor because he said, "Why don't we eat her?" And I was like, "Wait, what? What kind of thing going around in this chapter?" They're talking about cannibalism. I can't say that word. I'm sorry. I apologize. Where they're trying to eat a human, but then when they keep going on, you understand why they said that. Apparently, the rumor about that clan is that if you eat them, you get to be immortal. Which the guy with the brain, ironically, the one who can control brains is probably the smartest one in between them two. He mentioned that, that's just a rumor, blah, blah. Basically, that's why he debunked it. But he does mention that the rumor, like I said, about stereotypes, about anything, there's usually a truth in it. That's basically what he said. Like, not the stereotype thing, I just added that in. But he's basically like, it comes from somewhere. There's a reason the rumor is a thing. So what he does... he does interesting. I think he broke her leg because you see blood coming out from her legs. And this is where you see what important it is about their clan. You just see her heal. And okay, while you might not be immortal, it might give you a healing factor. Or they're trying to test her to feel like the same thing they did in My Hero Academia. Man, I messed that up. My Hero, where the girl that can turn people back time to their past can kind of heal you. Let's say you broke your leg 2 seconds ago. She can if she has her power saved up, she can go back 10 seconds where your leg was fully healed. So I think they're doing this weapons deal is do what the guy who had the bird mask did in My Hero, where they were testing on a little girl to figure out how to use her ability to... He probably trying to mass produce it like the bird guy in My Hero. I forgot his name. Shaziki, or whatever his name is. The one who can just construct and put stuff back together. But I have a picture on it somewhere. But it's interesting. I think they're going to go down the route where he tested on the kids just like the guy from My Hero did. And I like it. Parallels. People sometimes don't like that. Stories in Shonen Jump are kind of similar, but once you got like 2,000 Shonen Jump manga, it's kind of hard not to do something similar to other Shonen Jump. But anyways, I like that the fact. Then the brain guy explains that he understand kind of that why she wouldn't have a normal life. You see the tray of her, what she was eating, the dirt food, why she was so happy last chapter of eating normal food. And you see the main character building up the strength, and he used a second sword, the short sword, to cut the hand of the brain guy. And then when he grabs his sword, his long sword, this is when he didn't use. I don't think he used the ability of his short sword. He used the ability of the long sword that the brain guy picked up early because it was an enchanted blade. Once he cut the hand off the brain guy, he grabbed the sword that the brain guy grabbed from him while he was suffering on the ground. He grabbed that sword and he activated, I think he said Nishiki. And then you just see him going ham and cutting everybody apart. And I was like, God damn. But I do want to see the ability of the short sword. I think it has an ability too. I think so far we've only seen Black and Nishiki. Oh, maybe we did see. I think it was Entei. Oh, interesting. They all had different commands. That's interesting. That's very interesting. So, while I think the other swords have one command, one ability, his sword has 3 different abilities because of the 3 fishes. I'm recording this and realizing that they have 3 different abilities, but that's fine. One more thing. I mentioned how he used Nishiki and then he killed everybody. I forgot to mention that it looks like he cut off the head of the brain guy and he just started killing everybody. And the dirt guy tried to use the before he killed the brain guy, he basically mentioned that because of people like them, it reinforced him on why he's doing this, because they're doing this to a little girl, they're capturing her. The brain guy looked like he understands the situation, what the orphan kid is going through, and he's still gonna turn her over. That's why I'm looking at it. That's what I think the main character is thinking about. Okay, this is where he gets his strength, stands up, and then he used Nishiki and cut his head off. And then the other dirt guy tried to use the orphan kid as a hostage, and you just see his hand get cut off too. And then you just see him kill the dirt guy. And then this is when the main character mentioned that, all right, so they after you for your special abilities. I understand, basically. And you see a flashback where she was about to tell him. He mentioned you were about to tell me because you started to trust me. And she was like, yeah. And then you just see them ending the chapter with them eating. Beautiful chapter. You see people were like, when chapter 1 came, people kind of liked it, but they also thought that the main character had no emotions, he's gonna be like bland, he's gonna be like emo. But I like that they're showing his character more. They're not just being like he's a bland character, even though I do like characters like Sasuke, people that tend not to like, but I do. But I'm liking that they're showing more of his emotion, that he cares about little kids or people in general. And that's all. I love the chapter. We get more into the psyche of the main character. We got more abilities. And that's it. I hope you guys liked the review. Subscribe. Share me around. And peace out, Toon family.